Okay, perfect. You're live. Hey, everyone. Let me get my sheet here. All right, everyone. We just went live. We're going to give it a few more seconds just in case people are joining us. We'll give them a few seconds to join us. Mauricio, welcome. Thank you for joining us as well. Let me make sure everything is working on the other live stream platforms. And in about half a minute, we will get started. Oh, everybody, I forgot to mention, if you have any apps that are open on your computer, on your desktop, make sure to close them, or at least pause notifications so you don't get like all these notifications in the middle of your screen while you're presenting, or all this noise. If you're not talking, please mute yourself. If you can't hear me very well, something is happening with my connection, definitely let me know. Like, unmute yourself and show yourself on camera and let me know. And all right, so see, people have started joining. We have about a dozen people here. Okay. So welcome, everyone, to the Plotly live session. Over the next 45 minutes or so, we will be highlighting some of the most beautiful apps that were submitted to the Plotly App Challenge last month. These apps amaze us with their sophistication and data visualization techniques implemented by the app authors. So here with us, we have the 4 app authors that will showcase their apps today. We have Jordan, Ricky, Ramsey, and Alonso. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome.
Hi.
In addition to the 4 authors, we also have with us Frank Fredericks, the CEO of One for the World. Frank is actually the main reason this Plotly Challenge took place. Hey, Frank. Welcome.
Hi. How's it going?
Good. Thank you. So to give some context, One for the World's mission is to scale effective giving movements addressing extreme poverty. And to accomplish their mission, they knew how important it is to fully understand their data. So that's why they partnered with Plotly and asked the community to help it build an internal-facing data app that will provide insights into its monetary pledges and payments from 2014 to present times. Frank, can you share a little bit more about One for the World, maybe your role, and what you were hoping to get out of the app building challenge?
Sure. So as an executive director, it's really important for me to make evidence-based decisions about how we can grow what we do. And just as Adam said, our mission is to scale the effective giving movement, but our primary product is a 1% pledge in which people commit 1% of their income to highly effective charities. And some of these donors have been around now for years. And so it's really important for us to be able to figure out, gosh, which segments are performing better? How do we invest more in that? How do we lower our attrition rate? How do we figure out these key challenges and not only understand them, but communicate them to stakeholders, internal stakeholders like board members and et cetera. And so for us at One for the World, having this ability to not just learn, but distill and share internally those findings is just such a crucial challenge. And that's why we are really excited, because we know Plotly is uniquely positioned to manifest that. But of course, having these folks volunteer time to drive that is just such an incredible blessing for us.
Thank you, Frank. Now, I know you and your team also judge the app, all the apps of the challenge. Can you share the general impression that you or your team got? Like, what specifically caught your, well, not specifically, but what caught your attention when reviewing these apps?
Well, I think an important thing for folks to know who didn't build the platforms out there to know is that our data is quite, it's a unique challenge, right? Some people have continual donations. Some people give one-time donations. We have lots of different segments, and sometimes they overlap. And when we look at our data, it's not just about growth, but it's actually how we measure our impact. So it's so incredibly important to have accurate information. So when we got to looking at the work that the teams did, I just saw an incredible amount of thoughtfulness in capturing that nuance of needs, like counterfactuality, these sorts of things. The ability to drive down in detail. So when you see one thing, you double click, you're able to actually learn the subparts contributing to that, was something I saw in several pieces of work that I just thought was awesome and really actionable for us. And truthfully, I even learned new insights about our real data from these dashboards that were made. Things I didn't know, like for instance, I think I saw attrition rate by segment type, and I hadn't seen that broken down before. And that was like, oh, hey, we need to look at this. So we literally identified new challenges and new opportunities for growth from the work that was done. So it was just really exciting to see that, and really inspired a lot of productive conversations internally.
Awesome. Now, Frank, I remember before the challenge, you were telling me I'm really kind of like an Excel pivot table kind of guy. So seeing all these beautiful dashboards, have we brought you more into the world of data visualization?
Yes, and it's not just about me, right? One of the challenges I have is, regardless of how I work, is I need to get stakeholders on board. So having, no matter, even if I love Excel, my board members and other key donors who want to see some of this data, they're gonna need the visualizations. They're gonna need this. So understanding that it's more important than just me, but like rather these other internal stakeholders, it's incredibly valuable. So yes, for me, and also it serves this huge need that I was already struggling with, which is how do I make the thing that I do 9 to 5 or 9 to 10 every day accessible to some of those key stakeholders who aren't in it with me day to day.
Awesome. Thank you, Frank. Okay. All right. So I think it's time to see some of these apps in action. First, we are going to start with Jordan. I'm going to have you go first. Jordan, can you share a little bit about yourself? Maybe tell us why you chose Dash for your app development, and then share your screen and have at it.
Sure. Yeah. So hi everybody who's paying attention. My name is Jordan. I'm based out of Toronto. I currently work as a senior BI specialist in the insurance industry, but I'm doing a lot of stuff with data engineering, and I'm just kind of in the weeds with data as my career right now. So it's pretty. It sounds boring, but it's actually pretty exciting stuff. We can enable insights and analytics and all sorts of great things to help leaders make decisions, right? In terms of Dash, I got introduced to Dash many, many years ago when I was back in university, just kind of like as an open source tool. And it kind of got me into the world of learning Python and actually like writing code and getting used to working with data. Because a lot of the other tools, they didn't have open source options. So for someone to get up to speed right away, um, develop some quick dashboards, and the customizability really spoke to me. So I really like that about working with Plotly and Dash. Even though I don't use it, I've only used it a handful of times professionally, like integrating it and introducing it to organizations. Any of my personal projects or anything that I want to highlight, I always look to see if there's a way I can easily do it with Dash and Plotly, and pretty much almost every single time it's available. So that's just me and kind of my usage with Dash, and just a little bit about background of myself. I can start going into sharing. Let me share my screen. Okay, sorry, give me a second. I don't know why it's. Okay, it should be.
1 second, it's loading.
No, it's.
Wait.
I don't know why it's. Oh, there we go. Now I can select the tab. There we go. Share. Perfect. Can you guys see my screen?
Not yet. I have to bring it up. 1 second. Jordan. Okay, yes, we see it.
Okay, great. So my idea for this app was to I tried out some new technologies as well, and maybe we can get into that. But the main thing was I just kind of wanted to highlight kind of a one quick view where someone can go and select different tabs, get some quick highlights of some certain either certain analytics or certain things that they wanted to look at. So I started to split some of the I guess the KPIs, the KRIs into different sections. So we had objectives and key results. So we were looking, just at the previous fiscal year is what I was really focused on. So how many total active donors are currently available, how many active pledges. I was just trying to highlight, quick spots where the goals were and what the current values were, pledge attrition rates. So basic things that were being asked of us. But then we can dive down into, like how many pledges, for example, were created. So I was really focused on how many pledges were being brought in, what's the current attrition, and how many pledges are kind of dropping off. And also because that's the main thing of it, right? Like if someone gets a pledge and then they drop off, like, within 2 days, then it's not really valuable to One for the World or for the charities they're trying to support, right? So we want either recurring or we want actual payments. So that's kind of where my mind was going with this. So just as a quick view, what I did is I organized a lot of my views just on the left side over here, just with a scroll bar. So we could look at, created pledges by, frequency, and then we can look at, by different portfolios. And um, one of the great things as well is that I tried to implement is thoughtful UI design. So as opposed to just having, like a drop down somewhere and someone to have to go on the right side of the screen, I actually played around with adding some modals. So if I wanted to, add in a different portfolio, for example, like the food fortification initiative, we can add that in. We can get metrics on that. It's all available here as well. And again, same thing, focusing on the fiscal year ranges. And as I was working on this, I started getting a bit more nitty gritty with, annual views and monthly views. And so one really cool thing that I did a lot of work on the back end and working in the database instead was actually just looking at, the change in active pledges. And when I thought about this, and to the point that was brought up earlier, the data can sometimes be messy. Is sometimes we have to, it's not just a simple addition or subtraction. We actually have to thoughtfully think of, okay, well, when did a pledge come online? Well, how many are coming offline? How many are staying active through the year? So in terms of these calculations, that's kind of what I was taking into account. And um, that again, that's the great thing, right? I can do this stuff in SQL, I can do this stuff in Python in the back end, and then once I have a ready table or ready data, I just bring it forward, and we can have some great visualizations here. So we can have different churn rates, and then just how many active pledges were at the start and the end of the fiscal year. Playing around with some tool tips, so we can see just kind of how One for the World is actually performing when it comes to subscription-based pledges. And again, same thing. Um, Doing the filtering by our modals and setting our options. Everything's kind of available here. We can go through as well. So another key thing that I mentioned earlier is that I really wanted to look at, like, how was churn happening and how was that being handled. And with the data that we saw, I wanted to kind of dive into some additional, deeper metrics, like how many pledges that were actually started without giving us a payment, right? And that's a really key indicator to see, how many people sign up, and then either, are we target are is the organization targeting the right type of clients who are actually going to continue paying? Are they targeting, like, is the targeting working correctly, or are we just targeting people who may not be interested and maybe they're just pressured at the moment and then they don't think about it? Those sort of ideas is also what was coming to my head as well. So that's kind of where this visualization, churn before first payment, kind of came into account. And you can see as well, like the actual downward trend of, how many are starting, without a payment is actually going down. So credit to One for the World. That's really great. You want charities to be funded. We want impact to actually take place. We don't just want to see signups without any impact, right? Again, one of the cool things with Plotly and Dash as well is it's really customizable. It's a great framework. If you know your way around HTML or CSS, then you can get these type of and with all the apps that were submitted, they were all really beautiful. So you can there's the possibilities are endless once you start playing around with it. So for me, I really liked, just kind of doing some separation between revenue and objectives and key results. So if we can get into, we can get the total payments, split it by the subscription type, and then we can also get it monthly as well as a view over here. And then one of the other things too is just, like what's the how much revenue can you generate per pledge, based on I think yeah. So I even just when we take a look at the total revenue, like because One for the World does get some larger payments as well, from some donors and also some smaller ones as well. So we're taking a look and just seeing, like, what's the average revenue per pledge, diving in. Everything's clickable, you can go and split it between subscription and one time. And then we could also kind of see it on a monthly basis. And again, same thing over here. If I just wanted to take a look at, per platform, for example, if I just wanted to look at, donational and then set that up,
Jordan,
everything's available.
just as a time control, we have about 2 more minutes.
Sure. Yeah. So otherwise, I really just tried to keep it simple. Just having big numbers at the top, just for a quick glance, so you could see where you are overall with the year, and just kind of a final metric that I thought was kind of really cool was looking at the time to first payment and kind of getting those splits as well. So again, just giving the organization some ideas on what they want to dive into and what they can possibly take a look at. So overall, tried to keep it simple. The last thing as well was just trying to, I don't know if you can see my screen, but if I was trying to make the screen smaller or have it, more mobile friendly.
Oh, nice.
That was the other thing as well too. It's like if someone needed to quickly pull up numbers on a phone for whatever reason, they can do that. And then
Very
also
nice.
we have the desktop view. So that was my app.
Cool. Jordan,
Frank
says he loves this visual, this last visual that you were showing. Jordan, quick question. And then if Alonso, Ramsey, Rick, if you have any question or feedback, please feel free. But Jordan, quick question: all these tabs and visualizations that you put in there, were they all from the One for the World wish list, or was there anything different?
So most of them were from the wish list. Some of the ones that were different was like this time to first payment, for example, was different. I was looking more. I started treating kind of the data set as like a SaaS business. So it's like, okay, well, what are some metrics that SaaS companies might follow, for example, because the flow might be similar. So this one's different. Time to first payments, churn pledges before a payment occurs as well. There's also one that was. I looked at the data and said what other further insights we can get. So this also wasn't on the wish list, but provided.
Nice. All right. Does anybody have any questions or feedback for Jordan for this app? If there's any question, let's see if there's any question from the community. I'll let you know. Any question of a particular graph or card or color scheme?
I was wondering, the time to first payment, is that like an average or is a sum?
So what I was doing is from what I recall, because I haven't looked at the data in a while, but yeah, it was actually just a raw count. So it's the raw count of how many pledges were signed up. And then I would do the join between, I guess, the pledge data set and the payment data set, right? So, and then I would look at the date between the first payment in the payment data set versus when the pledge was signed up against. So there was actually a huge, and looking through the data, you can comb through it as well. But I think there was a lot more like university outreach and stuff, especially happening in 2019. So a lot of these pledges were set to come online, I think, in a few years, and that's where if you go back and check it against like the payments or the revenue, you'll see that there is a big bump in some of the future years after. So
I
but
see.
that's how
It's like 4 different categories of the different time frames.
Yeah. So I think I just arbitrarily chose like, okay, a week, a month, a year, and then over a year, just kind of just to give some context. Yeah.
Also, Frank says we have people who pledge to start giving in the future, which is a unique feature to our pledge product.
Yeah.
Go, Jordan.
So this is also capturing that too, right? So whenever again, that was something that I was seeing within the data, right? Like how many pledges came online, but then when's the first payment, right? Because the pledge could start, they pledge in 2019, but then the first payments, after they graduate, for example, right? Like that I was seeing that quite a bit in the data. That's where this idea came from.
Nice. Frank, thank you for the context as well. Alonso, you have your mic on mute. You wanted to ask a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I really love the way that you made it responsive to the size.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that it's Dash and Mantine. So this is getting technical now, but the framework really makes it really easy to just set like those bounding sizes and make it reactive and getting the drop down. So yeah, setting that up was pretty straightforward. But thank you.
Sweet. Jordan, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Adam.
it. All right, Ramsey, we have you on next. Let's do the same thing. Let's, if you can share just a little bit about yourself, a sentence or two. Tell us why you decided to use Plotly Dash for this, and then you can share your screen.
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone. So I'm Ramsey. I currently work in Santander as a quantitative analyst. And so basically we had like probably like Frank is currently doing, we had some our traders that were like, okay, we love to have our data in Excel and use pivot tables to represent our data and analyze the data. But as soon as you grow up in size, so for example, currently we have 15 million lines every hours, and Excel can't handle any of that. So that's how we decided to move. I mean, most of my team, we were used to coding in C++ or Python. And so we decided to move to Dash because it was the most solid and developed framework that allowed us to develop something without knowing anything in HTML or CSS, and mostly just using Python, which was very good for us. So very low cost of entry and very high performance. So perfect.
Nice. Cool.
That's why I decided to use Dash. I'm gonna share the screen just to show you the current app that I have developed for this contest. So basically, I developed it in the same way that I tried for the Santander. So the ability to have a nice a nice sum up view, and then the ability to explore and keep the same feature as using a pivot table in Excel, so that you can dive down as much as you want and discover things. Because basically, since the app is not, I thought the app is not for end customer, but more for people that are going to analyze the data. It would be nice for them to be able to develop or create everything they can want, or new metrics if they want to follow something in particular. So basically, if you go in your metrics, you can see, for example, the tab with all the metrics. And so it shows, for example, depending on each one, when you click, it shows the corresponding metric. You have the breakdown for example, for here, the donor by donor chapter. You have the comparison by year. And here you have a sum up for the biggest ones. And then you have a order, which is the sum of everything else. So that was mostly the main metric part. And so, as I said, my main goal was to allow the user to be able to create his own metric or explore the metrics, because maybe you see a metric and it seems very, very nice, but you would like to see a bit more details on it or filter something very particular. So that's why I created this pivot table-like table. And here you can load, for example, imagine you want to you want to see, you have seen a metric, but you want to see more in detail. So you have the money moved by month. And so you can load it, for example. So this is made using the grid. The table is made using Dash as a grid, but everything else on the screen is mostly made using Dashman time. So for example, so here it has loaded the previous, the metric that we decided. So the money moved by donor chapter, as you can see. And so you have it month by month. But let's say I want to see something in particular for a donor ID or for frequency. I want to see it by frequency. And so rather, I just want to see everything else that is not one time. So I just can select everything else like that. And so it will filter automatically, and then it will display to me. And let's say I want to see more details. I can just drag and drop here, for example. And then I have for each donor chapter the frequency.
Wow, that is cool.
And so you have the sum up and you have the detail. And so you can go down as much as you want. You can do the same by column. Maybe, so here we have the months. Maybe you want to add the year, or we want basically to replace it. I want 2 months and currency. It's a bit weird mix, so I'm gonna change it a bit. But so, for example, so here for each year, for each month, you have August, you have the currency and the development. So basically, you can create anything you want, and you can export your data as much as you want. So it's a bit opposed, but I really like. I mean, for example, the previous presentation, everything was so well thought so that you could see exactly what you need. Here it's more that the user can explore his data. That was mostly the goal. And then let's say you like you have different ability. I mean, theoretically, you should have implemented more like sum, count, or average, for example. And then you can see them the same way by graph if you want, if you select the graph here. And then you can select line or bar plot, or theoretically even more if you have. So, but let's say that we want to particularly focus on the 1% pledge, which I think was what Frank mentioned earlier. So you could just go in portfolio from what I remember. No, not this one. It's which field it is. Chapter type. Either.
Well, Ramsey, just so you know, Jordan was saying that the drag and drop is super cool. Frank was saying that he loves being able to switch between in the app between the graph and the pivot table so easily.
Yeah, and if you like the metric you just created, for example, you can save it. So that was basically the most interesting point, and you can. So you can find it again. So for example, let's say it's an objective key result. I decide to call it which I think it's amount by frequency.
Where does it save it to?
Sorry?
Where does it store it? Local browser storage?
So normally, for example, for what I did in Santander, we save it in a data server, or SQL base, and then you can request and get back what you want. Here for the Dash contest challenge, I just made it for the. It just saved it locally in the browser and cookies.
So
you save it on your own
store,
cookies.
the DCC store.
Yeah, exactly. I use the DCC store exactly, and I have put it, I think, in local, which save even if you close the navigator and open the navigator again.
Yeah.
But if you reset your cookies, then you lose it, and you can't share it with anyone, or if you connect to another PC or using another navigator.
Yeah.
But then you will need a user login for it to work. So let's say we call it amount by frequency, except unique. And then we want to put a target. So we want 80 million, which doesn't that make sense in that term of metric, but where is the dollar on my French keyboard? Okay. And then so it gives you the summary, you can save it. Let's say that it's saved, and if you go back in your matrix again, you will have it in here, exactly as we have done it. And so that was mostly it. I found so for example, these are graph using dash mine time that I find really cool. And yeah, that's mostly it. Here you could select the years or select between years.
Nice, Ramsey. And if so, you saved it. Let's say you say multiple versions. If you want to go back to one of the versions, how do you load it?
If you want to go back to one of the version,
like I mean, you saved two. Let's say you saved 2 or 3 views.
Different one. Yeah. So you have two choices. Since it's stored in your local browser, you could delete your cookies and it will go back to default, or you can use the delete metric, for example, and then it gives you the list and you can remove any of them. So for example, I wasn't sure that I had computed correctly one of the metrics, so that's why I said you can delete even one of the original metric so that you can recreate it as you wish to see it.
But you can only save one at a time, or
no, you can save as many as you want on the.
Okay. Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, basically the goal was to be able to create your own metric, because here I have filled it with the original ones, but for example, maybe you don't want to see you have moved to another year and you want to change every target. So maybe you want to change the value here.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. Really cool. We have Ricky was saying that he likes the powerful data exploration system that you built. Mauricio appreciates the dark mode that you put in there. A lot of people really like the dark mode to use. And then one last question. Ricky asked, did you create all the default graphs in your app using your pivot table system?
Exactly, yes. They are all created using the pivot table system, and then I save the equivalent code of that was created by the pivot table, and then I put it by default directly in the dash.
Perfect. Thank you, Ramsey. We have a +1 in
So-
dark mode. You have a +2
Yeah.
for my end in dark mode as well.
So for the light and dark mode, it doesn't made. I didn't had to do anything. That's really the good part of Dash. I use the Dash man time, and if you consistently use their components, like for everything, for the card, for the segmented control here, or for the graph, they provide directly in the code something that allows you to switch between light and dark mode, like I did. So it's really a powerful library that sits on top of Dash, and I really like it. The components are really, really well done, and everything is well maintained.
Agreed. Dash Time components is a powerful library used by many people. All right,
So,
Ramsey,
yeah.
thank you so much.
No problem. It was my pleasure to do it.
Awesome. I like what stood out to me in this app is the DCC store, how you use that to store your views, and you might want to come back to it because it's almost like, okay, if Frank is using this app, it's like, okay, I want this view for these board members, or I want this view for this department, or for this particular person that's more interested in a different type of visualization or view of the data. And so you can just load it and grab it. Really cool.
Yeah. One thing I've done in the past of sharing views is using the URL query params. I don't know if that's possible here. It's to store all the data used to create a graph in query params.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, it's a good idea. I agree.
Good idea, Ricky. All right. Ramsey, thank you for your presentation and for participation. Next, we have Alonso. Alonso calling us from Madrid. Alonso, can you share a little bit about yourself? Also, tell us why you chose Dash, and then feel free to share a screen and show us your app.
Okay, hi, I'm Alonso Valdez. I'm from Chile, and now I'm living in Madrid. I've been working with Python like for over 6 years. now.
Alonso, are you able to speak a little bit closer to the microphone?
Okay.
Because it's like you're far away.
Very far away. Okay, so can you hear me good now?
We hear you a little bit better. Yes.
Okay. So I will just speak louder. Well, I like the Plotly and the Dash libraries because they are easy to make really nice graphs and to make interactive visualizations, like when you do the hover and you see the metrics, and then where you could put many filters and see in real time how the data changes the visualization. So that's why I chose this library. And because in the last year I've been working with Dash, and I wanted to go deeper into this kind of program. So I will show you the app. I think this is the most difficult part. Okay. You can see it, yes? Okay.
We can see
You
it.
see me? Okay. So my way to go with this application was first to understand how one for the world was, how was the data of one for the world. How do the pledges work? How the money flows? And when I started to look into the data, I noticed that there were maybe some missing values, or the missing values were named differently in one of the databases and another database. And the data had multiple currencies, so I decided to put all the currencies into US dollars. I used the currency converter library. It was really easy to convert all the money because that library has historical exchange rates, and I just interpolated the last value for the future pledges. I made here I made a methodological notes page where I put everything how it was done, like for the user, he can see that how is the ingestion done, how about the currency conversion, where is the the function that is actually doing the conversion. Um, and then after I had the data ready, uh, I was planning how I was going to approach into this challenge, the challenge of building a really fast MVP application. So I wanted to build a fast deployment and deploy it in the server. So I wanted to move fast in this, and I think that I thought that the best way to do this was to calculate all the wish metrics on the wish list. So I went with the money move, OKRs, and play performance, and inside all of those pages are all the metrics that were asked by one for the wall. And then here you can see all the charts by selecting the filters. I added this one as a plus made by me. I found it interesting to compare all the years one with each other. You can change here the year mode. So December is here, moving from the middle to the end of the year. Um, there are some other kind of graphs, a pie chart, a tree map, where you can see the biggest pledges. Um, One of the things that I wanted to do is to use a single filter for all the metrics. So this filter will be uh, the same. The same filter will be applied to the entire web page. Um, so, and another thing that I wanted to mention is that the project structure that I decided to do is, well, from the beginning, I decided it was going to be modular. Uh, I I make some note in the GitHub, like I make a single module for all the callbacks, another module for the components of the web page, let's say the sidebar, the header, then another module for the data ingestion, the filtering, the currency conversion, another model for calculations, another model for the visualizations, and then another model for what was going to have each page, like the part of the storytelling or maybe the titles, all of that. And all the application uses a login system with Logguru so it's easy for me to debug and to see what is going on when the app is in production. And the application now is running on a very small cloud server. It only has one RAM, 1 GB of RAM. So it was very challenging to don't make it crash. Uh, so I had to use some cache. I reduced the callbacks so that when you click something, I tried to make the application lightweight. And I think it went right with this configuration. And one final thing that I want to mention is that I saw there was a bonus in the challenge by using an LLM. So I wanted to integrate I wanted to do the first integration of chat. I used the OpenAI API, and here you can.
Are you using, Alonso, your own tokens here?
Yeah, I limited the number of requests or usage to $4. So it's not going to be critical if every side
Good.
so many calls. Yeah. So the app the LLM uses as context, it uses a summary of the actually filtered data. So if I modify the filters here, I will see that in the response, and I can see the response is formatted with Markdown, and is really a simple way to integrate an LLM into the application. I would love to go deeper in this, like I would love to make an integration where you actually see the response into the graph, since Plotly you can add a patch like a small update of the graph, and
Yep.
you don't have to render it entirely. You can maybe use a tool into the LLM to make just that change in the graph, and I'm planning to do that in the future, like to make a really good integration of the information that is being shown in the graph with some kind of chart.
That would be pretty cool. You send that to me when you do that. That would be really cool.
Yeah. So my final thoughts about this is I like this challenge because it helped me understand sometimes the real case world world data. It was fun to make a fast application with Dash, and in the meanwhile, keeping a clean code structure, deploy this application with limited resources, and do an LLM integration. So thanks for your time. And
Thank
any
you,
questions?
Alonso. Really appreciate it. Frank says this is a beautiful UI. When reviewing this app, this is like one of the things that stood out to him. What stood out to me here, obviously the large language model, the chat, not everybody had that in their apps submitted to the challenge, but also the methodology. I think that's like the fact that you took the time to explain how you did the calculations, what you did is very maybe even essential to this type of challenge or this type of usage by an organization like One for the World, right? Because it allows uh, for people to use this application in perpetuity, like in long term, because if somebody is responsible for this data visualization of this app in One for the World, and then they're no longer with the company or it moves to somebody else inside the organization, then you have all the methodology explained there that you can go back to and either recreate this or just teach it to others. So I really love that.
Yeah, and for the UI, I got inspired in the One for the World color palette. Just went into the web page and I took the color palette and then say, okay, I will
Nice.
add two more colors, and I have all the.
Nice. You use the One for the World color. God, you're trying to gain points for the app judges. Use their color palette. Marisa says, I like the methodology and notes. It's important to note the assumptions. Yep, completely agree. All right, we have one more minute here. Any Frank said that it definitely worked. Any questions or feedback for Alonso?
Well, on my side, I can say that I really liked the E, and I learned a lot looking at the code and how everything was built. I checked it and learned a lot. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well documented code. Yeah. All right, Alon. So we got plenty of people in the chat. Ramsey, Frank, Mauricio, Ricky that already mentioned stuff, and me. Also, that comments that I shared from Philippe on I think it was at our last community meetup on YouTube. The LLM integration is pretty cool. So good job, Alon.
Yeah. I think I could definitely learn from the approach you took with how you not only looked at the technical, how to implement what's asked, but more thinking it from the user's perspective on how people will use this going forward.
Yeah, good point, Ricky. Thank you. All right, Alonso, appreciate it. Last but not least, we have Ricky. Ricky, the screen is yours, as you can say. The mic is yours. If you can share a little bit about yourself, why you chose Plotly and Dash, and then we would love to see your app.
Yeah, so I'm share my screen.
Yes.
Or I'll share about myself first. I'm Ricky or Richard. I currently work at Intel, and I was introduced to Plotly like maybe 11 years ago in school through a research assistantship program. Mainly they used Matplotlib, but I discovered Plotly because I was like in charge of a lot of the visualization, and I wanted to make more interactive type of views and 3D stuff. So I discovered Plotly through that process, and going forward, I learned about Dash a few years ago, and then started using that with an Intel project. Before we were using Django and didn't have any interactability. Every time you click a button, you reload the entire web page. But Plotly Dash makes it easy to add interactability, and you don't have to think about like how it interacts with the JavaScript. You just basically write a function in Python that is a callback that runs when you click a button. So it's I think it's very customizable and fairly straightforward to integrate that functionality into a UI. So the project within Intel is I'm working. I'm working on a project that uses this Plotly Dash to have internal metrics to help our team stand up high performance computing environments. So just internal within our team that we can see what are the failures, the most important things that validation engineers need to look at to ensure that the hardware is stable. So it's a lot of interesting challenges there, and the app continues to continue to get more complex. But at least Dash can be configurable to handle that complexity and integration of new features.
All right.
Yeah.
So we have about 8 minutes. Would you like to share your screen and we can view your app?
Yeah. Selecting a tab or a window. Let's see. I think this will be good.
Okay, one second. Not yet. It's in the backstage. Well, the tab you chose is us. So we're gonna. If I add it to the stage, we're going to see ourselves infinitely. There we go.
Oh yes. I'm not there yet. I'm on my app now.
Okay, I see it. We see it.
Okay, so this is the app that I built. I used Visro, which is a open source Python toolkit built on Plotly Dash, and I chose that because I chose Visro because I just wanted to learn how to use it, and I thought I kind of like the design philosophy of how it integrates data using pandas data frames. So it has that separation already built into its design philosophy, and also uses Plotly Dash, so you could extend the functionality that way. Although I did find that it was a little bit more difficult to configure things the way I wanted it in Visro versus Plotly Dash. But I have fun using it. I also have this button for the light and dark, but it seems the dark scheme looks better because I'm not using min time. So I focus a lot on those main metrics here. The main metrics that was on the wish list. And then I added also an additional AI graph generator feature using Visro AI and integrated that in here. Also using the DCC store feature in Dash to store data in the browser to keep the graphs you generate around longer. So this is the main metrics here for like the KPIs within the fiscal year. And then here's a quick visual of the fiscal year. Fiscal year is until June or July, I forget, of the current year, and until July of the last year. So as of the end of the data that we're given, there's a few more months left in the fiscal year. And you can see based on here, not really on track to meet the target of 1.8 million cumulative money moved. Have the counterfactual targets and split by the payment platform and by donor chapter. Since this is Plotly, you can zoom in on the data, since sometimes it might be hard to read. And then for the monthly metrics, monthly metrics may take a little bit longer to load. Yeah, I did preload the app, but I guess it has to reload itself.
Is that because Ricky, every tab is like a different page, or just a regular?
No, it's not because of that. It's because the on render, the render.com, which I'm hosting it on, has a cold start.
Okay.
So
no worries. You can. We'll just wait for that.
Just gotta wait for that, but I can talk a little bit about so monthly metrics is going to, once it loads, it's going to show not just for the fiscal year, but like split by month, showing every month what the data is for that month. And the annual recurring revenue by chapter, that's going to be a whole bunch of graphs on one page that shows. Okay, yeah, here we go.
And these there are like the all active donors. Ray, see the different tabs we have there of different graphs.
Yeah. Okay. Different graphs have different tabs. So looks like it's still loading, but
why don't you share with us, Frank? I wrote you like a message just in case you want me to do this at the end.
Here we go. It loaded now, but I want to show the AI graph generator just so in case if we don't have time. I created a graph here before it started that had the basically visualizing the flow of payment platform to portfolio.
Okay.
And to generate this, I typed in an AI prompt like basically telling it to use the Sankey to compare payment platforms to portfolios counted by USD amount, and just showing like that for each payment platform which portfolios they're going to. You can modify it and ask for modifications to the chart and see the chart code. And also, this is a configuration in the backend that it saves for that chart.
Nice.
Creating a new chart, like maybe a simple thing, total of active donors, and generate chart of total active donors. It's just going to generate something. The more descriptive you are here, the better.
Yeah.
There, total active donors is 1106.
Oh, nice. What did you say AI is it's using in the back end?
Yeah, it's using a system called Visro AI, which is a part of Visro, but you don't have to use it in Visro. It just generates the code for, like you see this Plotly Geo is a graph object. So it just gives you the code for Plotly, basically. So Visro AI, it would actually be a good way for any of you to possibly integrate AI graph generating into your project, even if you're not using Visro. But the only thing is you have to look at the licensing, because Visro is licensed a bit differently than Plotly is.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty cool way though. And behind that, I'm using a Gemini, my own free Gemini API key, so I'm not paying any money. It has some limits.
Awesome, Ricky. We have only 1 minute left, so I know Ramsey has a question. Ramsey?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be quick. So does the Visro AI run the model locally, or is it using something on the web? So do you need to transfer the data every time, or can you use it off grid?
It's Visro AI is not on the JavaScript side. It's on the Python side. If that's what you're asking.
No, I mean when you request for a graph to be created, is it created online, or I mean, does the request transfer to somewhere like Gemini or ChatGPT, or is it run locally?
Oh yeah, it goes to Gemini.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Ricky, thank you so much for the presentation. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
I love how you incorporated the AI part. I saw that Alonso did that as well. It's pretty powerful stuff. Everything today is with AI. Plotly is also building something, a very cool product with AI as well. Everybody will hear about it soon. It definitely helps with the creation of data apps, dashboards, and better understand our data. So kind of like the way to go today with AI. I want to share a screen here just to close us out. I know we're 1 minute above. We're 1 minute over, sorry. So if anybody wants to learn more about the challenge or read more about it, we have just go on the forum, community.plotly.com, or just Google Plotly Forum, and you can see all the other apps that were submitted here as well. Also, I would highly recommend you join the forum, because if you join the forum, you will get email notifications of future challenges that are coming out. And we have a challenge that's going to come out tomorrow. So stay tuned. In addition to that, I did want to give a shout out to One for the World. Frank, feel free to unmute yourself and give us any closing remarks, and tell us a little bit more about One for the World for people who joined us.
Yeah, this is such an important moment at One for the World as we're looking to dramatically scale and grow. The number of pledges we have, the impact of those pledges at this moment. It's a really important moment because we're funding some of the same type of interventions that were affected by cuts in USAID. And as we look at how we scale, one of the most important things we need to be able to do is identify, just in the basic Pareto principle, what do we need to do more of and what should we do less of? And the work that you've all done creates such an easy way for us to answer those fundamental questions at a time when we need it most. And of course, Plotly's developed this platform that enables that to be done beautifully, comprehensively, and accessibly. So thank you all for your hard work. Thank you for digging into this important cause area with me. And we look forward to taking your brilliance and putting it into action as we move forward as an organization.
Thank you, Frank. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and for sharing your apps with us, participating in the challenge. I hope to see you participate in a future challenge as well. Frank, thank you for partnering with Plotly and One for the World and allowing this challenge to actually take place. We do have a Plotly. Oh, shoot, I'm actually 2 minutes late for the Plotly virtual community meetup that is happening right now as we speak. If you want to join the community meetup, we have this once a month. Just send me an email and I will add you to the calendar invite. It's adam@plot.ly, adam@plot.ly, or adam@plotly.com. We also have our Figure Friday tomorrow, where we analyze the data set together as a community. We have our San Francisco in real life meetup on June 10th, and we have a New York City Plotly meetup on June 16th. If there's a lot going on, join the community, join the forum, and you'll get notifications of everything that's happening, including a beautiful community calendar. All right, Jordan, Ramsey, Alonso, Ricky, Frank, thank you so much for joining. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.